I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but this last week it wasn't exactly the greatest for my YouTube channel because the production quality and quantity both went down, and there was a reason for that. Okay, I was playing God of War and that's a great game. Okay, it took up a lot of time and I was just not really wanting to make videos while I was playing that, but that should be over and we should be back to my normal YouTube stuff that should come out as often as it usually does, and the quality should be back up also. But another thing to mention real quick is that my daily, or not daily, weekly Easter egg streams that I always do on Sundays, those should be back tomorrow also, so that should be pretty cool, unless it's not, but it probably is. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's actually talk about the subject matter at hand, which is Drostan's papers that we actually got to, yesterday. And I wanted to make the video on this yesterday, but I just could not figure out what this paper was trying to say. I'll have it on screen just for you guys can understand, but it's just all torn up on the sides. You couldn't see the start or the end of any of the sentences. It just got really awful and I just could not figure out what it was saying. But luckily for me and you guys, there was a guy on Reddit who actually kind of made up the words on the side to kind of make it make sense, which may not be entirely accurate, but I think it gives the general idea of what this paper was actually trying to say. And I think it's actually a really cool makeup of these words. And with this, we actually learn more about the smuggler and the bat and why he even had the bat in the first place, which is really cool. But with that said, let me actually read this thing to you and I'll explain exactly what I mean by all of this. So what it says is, several promising students. One folder included some letters on Straub and his one-time assistant in Berlin. It looks like a young man who has taken the liberty of liberating some of the good doctor's notes, as well as a shipment of Richter's Geistkraft weapon prototypes in order to sell them on the black market. And of course, Drostan has to do his little comment here. I like him already. Then he continues to say, Dr. Straub had already reported the failed prodigy to the SS and wanted to let him know that he personally sent a whistling to track his scent. Tell Jefferson that we should keep an eye out for this fella. Could be handy. So what this says is a couple different things. Now, first things first, I want to actually look at the greater picture of this, like where he's actually getting this information from. I think he kind of mentioned that he stole some notes from Middleburg, so I'm pretty sure that's what he's reading from right here and why he's actually writing this down, because these are some of the notes he's going over that he took from Middleburg, because he took some from both Klaus and Straub, so I imagine that's where he's getting this information from. But as for the information itself, I think it's pretty obvious who he's talking about. There was an assistant in Berlin who was selling both the doctor's notes and of course Richter's prototype weapons on the black market, and was also being chased down by a whistling. Who does that fit perfectly? That's the smuggler right there. Which is interesting because the smuggler we thought he was just some random dude, but it looks like he actually has a backstory to him, and there's actually a reason why he had that weapon, because at first we kind of questioned, but then you realize it's zombie, so you shouldn't question it. But regardless, at first you question, why the heck did some random smuggler have this Geistkraft weapon? It's because he stole it from Richter and it was one of his prototype weapons and went and sold it on the black market, which makes sense why he had it. So that's pretty interesting. And also, as you can see, there was a whistling sent out of him, which I think kills him, but I think you can save him once if you go and give him a pack-a-punch weapon, but I could be mistaken on that. But regardless, he probably dies in the main story, because I mean, I don't see him coming back in any way, shape, or form. But regardless, it is interesting to see that they're giving this guy a background and explaining why he even had the weapon, like these little details that they're actually paying attention to. Because if you look at the other two upgraded weapons that you see inside the map, the knife and the, I guess, pickaxe, I think it's called. The pickaxe makes little to no sense to me how exactly that works. I mean, couldn't you just break the table to get it? But anyways, the other one made a lot more sense by being in a safe. You would keep something that is valuable in a safe, so I mean, that one makes sense. And this one makes the most sense out of all of them, why he would have that weapon in the first place. And I really like how they're explaining that. I just think it's really cool. My only disappointment with this is that it wasn't in game. Imagine how cool it would be to find out this guy's story story in game. It would just been really cool, and I know Cameron Dayton has his reasons why he shares this outside of the game. If you guys watch his Zombros interview, then you guys would know, but I just still don't agree with him. I know some things can be said outside of the game, but I think something like this would be a really cool side Easter egg people could go and look at, unless he thinks that most people wouldn't really care about it. But personally, I would go and look this up. I would like to see this guy's story if it was in game, but regardless, that's just my personal opinion on this. But what do you guys think about this? Do you guys think it's cool that they're explaining even the smallest details of who the smuggler was and why he had the bat? I just think that's really cool that they're explaining such small things that we normally don't get explained inside zombies. But I'd still like to hear what you guys' opinion on everything, even on the whole idea of it not being in game. Do you guys like that idea? If you guys have heard Cameron Dayton's reasons for why that is, do you agree with him? Do you agree with me? Or just tell me all your opinions down in the comments. But anyways, that's about it for me. Of course, if you guys did enjoy the video, go ahead, do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, especially bell. I can really point out belling because that is so important still. But anyways, I'm gonna go, and we'll catch you guys on my next video.